From the city of barbecue, fountains, and jazz. Now and always looking out for you. You're watching eyetoeyekc.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining us here on the new eyetoeyekc. I am your host, Galvin Berkeley, and thank you for joining us once again for another edition here on eyetoeyekc. Yes, I still got the little crazy hair. There ain't nothing that we can really do about that, can we? No, on a serious note, please people, please once again take care of yourselves. This is not the time to be playing. This is not the time to be sitting up here letting your guards down. This is not the time. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but the hospitals here within the Kansas City metro area are getting crowded with COVID patients. So please heed the warnings that you're getting from the local news and from a whole bunch of other different sources, whether it's TV or print or online. More likely it's TV or digital print. But anyhow, please take care of yourselves. Please heed the warnings that you're getting all over the place. Please take care of yourselves. Please practice social distancing and wear your damn mask. This shouldn't be politicized, but it has been time and time again. But let me tell you, like I said on the first show, we're living in some strange times and dealing with some strange circumstances, and we got some strange people that is in these strange circumstances. I'm gonna just straight up tell you, given the situations that we have been dealt with. But quite honestly, I do believe we can get through this if we hunker down and we get past the BS of some of these people denying what's going on with COVID-19 and whatever. But I hope you guys are well. I hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves, and those who are not feeling so well, I hope you stay at home and take care of yourselves at home, because this is not the time to be sitting up here risking other people's health. This is not the time for that. This is not the time. Listen to me and listen to me well. This is not the time for that, okay? But what I want to talk to you about here, coming up here on the program on this edition, is that we've got a situation in Nigeria, and this is with the hashtag EndSARS. Now, a good friend of ours, Lyne't Gray, had addressed this on her program, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit here on the program. We're going to talk more about this on several later editions of eyetoeyekc. So we'll have some information on SARS, not the disease SARS, but a special anti-robbery squad. We'll talk about that in the relation into Nigeria coming up here on eyetoeyekc.
There is a gap between what is needed and what needs are met. When you partner with Liberty Bank, you empower more people to achieve more freedom. You're also investing in a bank that is a proven leader and has impacted those who usually don't have access to fair interest rates, new opportunities, and quality financial products. For Liberty Bank, this is bigger than banking. This is what happens when money and mission meet. Bank with us. Together, we can make a difference. Liberty Bank. There's freedom here. Member FDIC.
Even though you're telling me that you're going to reply.
tell everybody, but I am denying this is it.
Nah, it's not. But the last words that I was going to disappearance.
A lot going on in the news and commentary, and I want to start off first with the hashtag EndSARS, and this is going on in Nigeria. Now, what is SARS? This is an acronym for Special Anti-Robbery Squad. Now, this particular squad was created in 1984, and it was a response to carjackings and robberies and kidnappings that were happening in the Nigeria country. This was a policing unit kind of similar to what we know of here in the States as CIS, SVU, and etc. However, and here's the however part, this particular unit is responsible for responsible for corrupt practices and taking young men's lives and killing some of the young men over in Nigeria. And a good friend of ours, and we've took some, hopefully you guys will get to see this here on our program. This is coming from KUAW, LPFM from the Lyne't Show. You've heard her name here on the program before, and she's talked to three young men that are in Nigeria, excuse me, and their experiences with the SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. Take a listen.
Based on what's going on in Nigeria currently, nowhere safe in Nigeria for young people. It's as if they are unleashed against young people. The young people in Nigeria are very vulnerable.
Situation in the Nigerian area. SARS has been targeting our young men that have had devices such as this cell phone and computer, and so walking down the street looking good, smelling good, and so forth and so on. With the experiences that some of these men have had, there's some correlations to what SARS is in Nigeria and what the police is here in the United States. There's some correlation to how that is set up government-wise. Now, here in the States, we're supposed to have check and balances within that, which quite honestly, I don't think we have too many. We don't have any checks and balances, as we're starting to find out with the police system here in the United States. While there's been calls here in the U.S. to defund the police and get some reforms going on in the police, the Nigerians are asking for improvement on resources and to cut the corruptions. However, that hasn't had any influence, and that's why you've been seeing, if you haven't seen it already, you're going to start to see it here on this program a bit more often, and it's going to be hashtag EndSARS. And of course, we'll be talking more about this later on our broadcast to follow, so stay with us when it comes to the hashtag EndSARS, as we're going to share some stories and even talk to some individuals, hopefully talk to individuals. But could this be something like a COINTELPRO? That's one of the questions that I have, and we're going to kind of weave into this situation if we can. We're going to weave into this as much as we can, but stay tuned as we go through this. Now, back here at home in Kansas City has had about 155 homicides, and those 155 homicides, Kansas City has had a tough year when it comes to homicides, and the mayor and this police and city officials are we're meeting on Saturday here on, what's today, on the 24th, on how to resolve the city's issues, and we'll get to that particular meeting. We'll get some output and some information on the next Eye to EKC when it comes to that particular meeting, and see what were some suggestions that were going on due to the increase of homicides. And I think part of the thing was when we shut down this city, we didn't see too much of I'm not going to say that crime didn't occur, because it did, but I think with COVID, with domestic violence and things of that nature, it just didn't help none with the increases of the homicide rate here in Kansas City. I just think, quite honestly, we need to look at solving crimes not just on a one-size-fits-all type of solution. There's a multitude of things that we can do. And looking back in our show's history, back in 2013, we met with then State Representative Brandon Ellington at his No Excuses meetings, and back then he talked about that same approach of having to fix the problems with those who are repeated offenders, if I remember correctly. So let's take a little snippet at that.
We know what the solutions are. People just have been very, very slow or unwilling to start to address the systematic causes. When you talk about education, or lack of institutional funding, or lack of community connectors, these are things that have to be addressed on multiple layers. And the same, we talk about structural changes in the law. There's certain things as legislators that we can do that would alleviate problems for people that are coming out of correctional institutions, that would allow them to reassimilate into society. There's certain things from the legislative body we can do that would make economic development and incentives better for the citizens of the state of Missouri.
Country, we have to really look at what's going on inside of our country to see what's going on in the outside of different countries and things. But coming up here on Eye to EKC, what we're going to do, and I know that was really short of a news and commentary. Hopefully next time we will have a little bit longer. That's all I got this week in terms of news and commentary. I know, Galvin, I know you guys are saying, Galvin, you could do a little bit more. Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to keep it light for the first several shows. But coming up here on Eye to EKC, I'm going to talk about the debate and some political things that is going on. And the last debate between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, and what I think could have went on, should have went on, etc. Please stay with us here on Eye to EKC. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Ben Franklin Plumbing, the punctual plumber.
Running toilets waste water. Did you know the average running toilet wastes around 70,000 gallons every year? We can help. Now that's an offer you can't pass up. Back in my day, we used to call toilets the privy.
You're telling me.
I'm telling everybody. I'm telling everybody, but I am, this is it.
Nah, this is not it. But the last words that I would do on this current
All right, the last presidential debate. Let me tell you, it was a lot more civil, and I took a lot of notes, at least 5 pages of the debates. And let me tell you, while I do believe that this debate was a little bit cleaner, there's still some issues that need addressing. And unfortunately, we're getting down to the final wire. We got less than a week until November 3rd, Election Day. And a lot of people have already started voting with early voting or absentee voting and so forth. And with the last debate, I don't think people's decisions are going to be swayed one way or another. But starting off with COVID, let me see here. Donald Trump said COVID was a lethal disease. He learned a lot from COVID, and he said, claimed. I'm just going to say claimed, okay? When it comes to Trump, 99.9%, 90% have recovered, and there's been some spikes. He's acknowledged that there were some spikes and some surges, and he said that there was an 85% mortality rate, and he said it just wasn't a United States pandemic, but a worldwide pandemic, trying to clean himself up, so to speak. It's kind of too little too late to do that. But anyhow, going to what Biden said, how he would handle the COVID recovery a bit differently is that he would do a lot of rapid testing. He would have plans for and financial resources to reopen and be more transparent. He claimed that President Trump was late after 40 countries had closed, and I forgot. I'm reading my notes here, ladies and gentlemen, so I do want to apologize. So, you know, let me say this, with the rebuttaling of Donald Trump, he came back with Donald Trump has said people are going to learn to live with it. We're learning to live with it. And Biden said people are learning to die with it. And I just don't understand what kind of times, if you guys don't understand what kind of times that we're in, this debate has a lot to say over. And here's where we move from COVID to the aftermath, quote unquote, the aftermath of COVID. The shutdown, this is coming from Joe Biden, the shutdown was not proper. We needed standards, we needed resources for opening schools. We can walk and chew gum at the same time and trying to turn the curve, excuse me. And he says that we have, like Trump said earlier, there were spikes with all states. And Trump claimed that the Democrats shut down, and people with the shutdowns that they were dying, and that the schools had to reopen. He said that the young people were immune, the young people's immune system was strong, and the transmission rate was low. We can't keep the United States closed, and the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And then I guess back when Joe Biden was offering plexiglass and so forth in terms of explaining what he would have done, he said plexiglass was not working, was not going to work. Oh dear, oh dear. I got more, ladies and gentlemen. Please believe I got more. And I'm going to kind of hurry this up because it's a long typical situation here with this debates. Election influence. Russia, China, and Iran was the culprits of the recent attacks within our election system and getting some election information in terms of names and information and addresses and so forth with Russia and China and Iran. And with that indication from Joe Biden, he said that there would be a price to pay if, and then he said that the president was unwilling to give some type of punishment. And this is what Trump had said. And this is where he goes off in tangent here. 3.5 million. Joe claims that Joe had gotten 3.5 million from Russia. Doesn't doesn't get over from Russia. Nobody's tougher than he was. And then he turned around and got Biden and talked about Biden in Ukraine and emails and said that he owed an explanation, and talked about tax returns and I don't know how the hell that had anything to do with that, but and that's where things kind of wasn't coherent. Moving on to healthcare, as I'm about to run out of time, and I'm going to talk more about this in the final word here on the program coming up next, so don't worry. So we didn't have time to go through the last one here, but I'm going to be very quick with this. With healthcare, Biden talked about passing with Obamacare with public option, with Medicaid, reduced premiums and prescription drugs, and well, Donald Trump overall didn't have anything, but claims that Obama was running running Obama as well as he could, and that it was no good. He said that there would be pre-existing conditions. Don't know what the hell that means, but he didn't want to deal with socialized health care, and that's where that got the rebuttal from Biden on, you don't know who you're dealing with. But we will have to go over this another time here with the rest of that last debate after the elections, unfortunately. I knew that was what was going to happen. Overall, let me say this about the debate. We have two candidates, and you have one that is on the attack and lying and cheating. Then you have one that, once again, as I said it on the first edition of our broadcast, that you had another candidate that has participated in the systematic oppression of black folks and colored folks, and it is ridiculous. But what's even more ridiculous is these nasty campaign ads, and I'll have to get to it next time here on the program because I've got to run to commercial, and we'll come back with the final words.
This portion of Eye to EndSARS with Galvin Berkeley is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Drive your ambition.
This week's final word, and like I said, as we talked with the debates, I'm going to touch on a few more other things. I made the decision to touch on a few more things before we're not going to do it next time, okay? So, with that being said, I want to jump ahead. We probably won't get to a whole bunch of other more stuff. But the minimum wage, Biden, of course, supports minimum wage. And Trump argues that small businesses will need help. And he would consider it with the states having the option to opt in to the $15 minimum wage. And I can tell you we should be having more discussions on minimum wage based upon a lot of other criteria, but we'll get into that next time. I'm going to jump ahead to race. I was going to talk about immigration, but that is that was a bit messy, and it came from Donald Trump, where he talked about the cages, who was in the cage, who built the cages, and so forth and so on. Y'all seen this. Most of you have seen the debate, so I'm not going to take too much of your time. But let's jump into the racism thing, of the racism, the portion of the debates. And the Central Park 5, Biden brought up minimum wage, and then in rebuttal, I do believe that Donald Trump brought back a good point of the 1994 Crime Act, that Biden was a supporter, and even put some written some of the legislation in that particular bill, and he quote unquote called super predators. And this is coming from Trump. And of course, you know, Trump's favorite line, you know, ladies and gentlemen, who does more? Nobody does more for blacks than I did. Maybe even Abraham Lincoln. I'm sorry. But Joe Biden started off with a story and even apologized and acknowledged about the 1994 bill, calling it a mistake. And he tried to, and he said he undone some of the damage on that. But let me say this. We have a systematic issue. Well, let me break it down like this. This country has a problem with racism. And racism runs deep in the roots of this country. And it runs so deep in the roots of this country that it runs in the veins of our government. It runs deep in the veins of our local cities and states. Even here in the greater Kansas City area, whether you go to Raytown, whether you go to Blue Springs, whether you go to Mission Hills, Overland Park, Olathe, Independence, Lee Summit, where have you, there has been issues of racism, whether it's from our school boards. Speaking more specifically in the Lee Summit situation, whether it's more of the policing, which speaks to most of the police departments within our metro area, whether it's with the government and the judicial systems that we have here in Jackson County, Missouri, pointing to that specifically. So racism runs deep. It runs truly deep in our veins. And I don't think we're going to fix this problem overnight. And I really don't think we're going to fix it with trying to lay out this type of situation in a debate. I think that debate needed more time. As I think with most debates, it's all about theatrical theater instead of substance. And that's the problem with most of the debates that we have in our country in terms of elected officials, is that it's more theatrical and more about emotions instead of the objectivity of the issues of what's going on. But with that said, I want to say thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time here on eyetoeyekc. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You've been watching eyetoeyekc with Galvin Berkeley, a part of KC Online TV Operations, LLC. Please like, share, and subscribe on youtube.com/GAVERKLE16. Also, please follow us on facebook.com/EYETOEYEKC.